All right, let's dive into one of the all-time great stories from the Ramayana. This is a classic showdown, a real tale of might versus mind, brute force going head-to-head with some seriously brilliant strategy.
So, this whole story really boils down to one big question. What is true strength? I mean, is it just raw, overwhelming power? Or is it something else, like cleverness, like wisdom? I want you to kind of keep that question in the back of your mind as we get into this, because it's going to be a big theme. Okay, so our hero is, of course, the mighty Hanuman. We're talking about a divine being with just immense power. And when we join him, he's flying, soaring across this huge ocean on an absolutely critical mission for Lord Rama. The stakes here, yeah, they couldn't be any higher.
But, it's never that easy, is it? This journey isn't going to be a simple flight. Nope. The gods themselves decide to step in. They're watching, and they want to see if Hanuman has the full package. Not just the muscle, but the brains, that sharp intellect he's going to need. So what's coming up isn't some random monster. It's a very deliberate test sent from the heavens.
Okay, so that brings us to our first big moment, the serpent mother's test. Picture this. Hanuman's flying over the ocean, and then, from the dark waters below, a challenger rises.
And this challenger is, wow, it's Surasa, the mother of serpents. And listen, she's not just some random sea monster. She's this enormous, fierce, divine being. The stories say her form was so huge, it literally filled the entire sky. I mean, can you imagine? These gigantic, wide jaws, glowing eyes, just a truly terrifying sight. And remember, she was sent by the gods. And then she lays down the challenge. And it's not a request, it's a direct command from on high. Her voice booms out. Hanuman, the gods command me to test you. You must enter my mouth before you can pass. Like no way around it, this is a divine order.
Now, this right here is a really pivotal moment. Hanuman could have just seen her as another enemy, right? Something to smash through. But he's wise. He gets it. He instantly understands, wait a minute, this isn't a monster to fight. This is a sacred test. I have to pass it, not just beat it. And that mindset right there changes absolutely everything.
So this kicks off what you could call a battle of giants. It's that classic question, right? What happens when an unstoppable force, that's Hanuman, crashes into an immovable object, which is Surasa's divine challenge? Hanuman's first move? He decides to meet power with, well, more power. He starts to grow. First, he balloons up to a powerful 20 feet tall. I mean, for a normal person, that's huge. But Surasa? She's completely unfazed. She just widens her mouth to match him, no problem. The challenge stands. Okay, so Hanuman escalates. He grows again, this time to a towering 50 feet, casting this huge shadow over the water. And, you guessed it, just like before, Surasa's mouth just expands right along with him. It becomes this massive, cavernous maw, totally ready to swallow him. And this is where it hits its peak. It's just colossal. Hanuman swells up to a truly gigantic 100 feet tall. He's like a living mountain at this point. And what does Surasa do? Her jaws just keep getting wider and wider to match, becoming this seemingly inescapable cavern that's literally darkening the entire sky. And get this wasn't just some private fight out in the middle of the ocean. The old texts say that this battle of sheer will and size, it literally shook the heavens. People on distant shores were supposedly watching in total awe as these two divine beings just got bigger and bigger until they filled the whole sky. And this brings us to the real turning point of the whole story. We're calling it the moment of wisdom, because the strategy here is about to do a complete 180. We're shifting from a contest of brawn to a total showcase of brains. So picture the scene. The tension is at its absolute peak. Both of them are at their most gigantic size, and then Hanuman does something completely unexpected. He smiles, and that little smile, that tells you everything. He's figured it out. He's found another way. He basically solved the puzzle in his head. How do you win a fight that seems unwinnable? I mean, think about it. Every time he got bigger, she just got bigger too. Brute force was a dead end, a total stalemate. So what do? So instead of going bigger, he does the exact opposite. In a flash, he shrinks himself all the way down to the size of a thumb. Then he just zips right inside her massive, open mouth and pops right back out again before she can even react. It's just incredible. So simple, so brilliant.
And that brings us to the resolution. This is where we see how strength, wits, and humility all come together. Hanuman has passed the test, and now he's about to get a divine blessing. So after he pops out, Hanuman doesn't gloat or celebrate. Not at all. He shows this profound respect. He actually bows to Surasa and says, "Mother, I have fulfilled your command." See what he did? He followed her order to the letter. He did enter her mouth, but he did it his way. And in that moment, Surasa completely changes. She goes from this terrifying giant back to her gentle, divine form. The test is over, and she blesses him. She says, "Well done, my child. You've proven your strength, your intelligence, and your humility. May your journey succeed." So let's break that down, because this is the really crucial part. Hanuman proved the 3 things the gods were testing for. First, strength. Yeah, he showed he could grow to an immense size. Second, intelligence. That was his clever, totally unexpected solution. And third, humility. That was his choice to use his brain instead of his ego and then bowing to her with respect. He nailed all 3. And just like that, with her blessing, Hanuman continues his journey across the ocean. See, he didn't just get past an obstacle. He passed a divine trial. He flew on, not just physically, but stronger in spirit, knowing that both his power and his wisdom had been tested and proven. And that really leaves us with something to think about, right? This ancient story asks a question that's still so relevant today. When you're faced with a huge, overwhelming challenge, what's your first instinct? Is it to just grow bigger, to just throw more force at it, more power, more ego? Or can we learn from Hanuman? Can we pause for a second, maybe even smile, and try to find a smarter way through?